I don't know everybody got a body like me. Oh.
Hello and welcome to the Invincible podcast, the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends get to talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman, Cory Walker, and Ryan Ottley. On today's episode, we're going to be talking all about Guarding the Globe. That includes volumes 1 and 2, issues 1 through 6 and 1 through 6 again, but we'll get into more of that. But I want to kick it off by introducing my co-hosts, Bill.
Hi, everyone.
And TJ.
Oh, hello, it's TJ.
I am Ryan, and how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this.
I'm really excited to talk about it, because I've been excited. I've been wanting you to read this for a while.
I'm surprised by how much that I liked it.
Cool. TJ, how are you doing?
Are we talking about, like, if we liked it later?
No, we're just talking about how we're
going
doing.
into that?
Oh,
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
yeah. We are the Invincible podcast. Again, we talk all things Invincible related. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. And we recently started a sister podcast, or a spin-off podcast, whatever you want to call it, a second podcast called the Oblivion Song Podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, you can.
So the good thing about
listen to
Oblivion
that.
Song, too, is that it's just like, if you want to catch up to listen to us, it's just one issue. So like, you can just go and get that one issue, read that one issue, and then check out the first episode.
Yeah, and if you haven't read Oblivion Song yet,
It's like, it was really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
The more you sit on it, the more you're like, ooh, I'm pretty eager for the next one.
Yes.
Did you open up that volume thing?
It's still completely sealed.
Oh, man. I don't know
For more on that, check out the first episode of the Oblivion Song.
We've got a couple emails I wanted to get out of the way, not like get out of the way, but I wanted to touch on here. The first one is in reference to what we talked about last episode. Corey Adams wrote to us last episode, and he told us how the first issue of Invincible that he read was issue, what is it, TJ? 131?
It was 133. It was the
133,
first.
sorry.
If it was the first one of End of All Things.
Yeah, so it was Oliver's death and the funeral and everything, and we had talked about like how would that be as a first experience of Invincible, reading that and then reading everything else. So he actually replied, and this is what he wrote. He said, "Hey guys, it's me, Corey again. And no, I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's not Cory Walker, it's me, Corey Adams. I just wanted to say that I appreciate you reading my email on the air and taking interest in my story. To answer your question about it being weird knowing all this information and still reading anyway, my answer is no, it wasn't weird at all. I took it as reading a really long prequel. I don't know if this is the best example, but it was kind of similar to Star Wars prequels, where everyone knows that Anakin eventually becomes Darth Vader, but it's still interesting to see it all played out." Corey goes on to talk about how, he would see people on Facebook talk about Conquest, and he would just be excited to find out who they were. It didn't really ruin anything. He enjoyed our show, but he couldn't listen to some of the episodes. He actually just listened to new readers and some of the ones that were a little bit more generic. But then actually, once he caught up, he was able to listen to it without reservation. Corey goes on to say, as far as the ending of the book goes, I was a little apprehensive at first because I didn't really want it to end, but I honestly don't have any complaints. I really couldn't think of a better ending to such a great book. And to use a Star Wars as another example, I'm hoping to maybe see miniseries and standalone stories of certain characters similar to what Star Wars is doing with Rogue One and the Han Solo movie. Stories that can be picked from the timeline and are self-contained. What I really want to see is a Kid Invincible story run and have almost a Young Justice feel to it. And I don't want to get my hopes up too high. Well, once again, I've gotten away from myself and rambled on too much. Thanks again, guys. Until next time, Corey Adams.
Love Corey Adams.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
It's cool that he said that. Meanwhile, we're today talking about a spinoff, and it is kind of that kind of thing. So, Corey, if you haven't read, Guarding the Globe, Brit, Wolfman, Invincible Universe, check those out.
And don't listen to this. Or you can. And follow along.
We're gonna try and keep it relatively spoiler-free for the beginning, and then we're gonna go into spoilers. So if you want to hear what we thought of Guarding the Globe before getting spoiled, we're gonna do that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Our second email comes from friend of the show, Jordan Gilbert.
What's up, Jordan?
Hi, Jordan.
Jordan.
Aw, Jordan.
Jordan just wanted to write and say, hey guys, I just want to give you a quick thanks for mentioning Saga on the podcast. I'd always heard you guys talking about it, but never gave it a try. I recently got hooked after the first volume and went on a spree and bought volumes 2 through 8 on Comixology when they're on sale, and now I'm all caught up. Such a good series. Doesn't fill that Invincible void, but is a series I look forward to monthly now. Really enjoyed Oblivion Song number 1 and enjoyed the first episode. Love, Jordan.
Oh, good.
Yeah, right?
That's how Saga is.
Saga is so good.
You just can't stop.
Now, I will tell you this, Jordan. It is very hard going month to month with Saga now. They recently came back from a long break with a very good issue, and it just sucks. It's nothing like reading
Saga
the
is
volumes.
very sporadic too with its release dates. So like,
Well, they'll. I think they just back them up. Like I think they are kind of doing like
They'll
what
go
they did
like-
with Oblivion Song, where they'll like. I feel like they finish like 6 issues,
but
and
then they'll go
stop.
a couple months
Yeah.
without a new issue, and then they'll release monthly. And
The other thing that I thought you were saying, TJ, is Saga will do the thing where, oh, you won't see those characters for 6 issues, and
Yeah.
in our time might be like 8 months, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, where is that guy? What happened to him? Why is he old now?
Like Game of Thrones.
Kind of, yeah.
It's exactly
Yeah.
like Game of Thrones.
You're right. It is a lot like Game of Thrones.
The whole series
it's
is.
not. It's like the series is nothing like Game of Thrones.
No, the feel though, and like the.
But
the-
in that aspect,
yeah.
it kind of is.
all the relationships and all the ties. Yeah.
Right, all the relationships, how people like exist in the same world, and they're all kind of like trying to get to one another, but no one actually meets, and when they do, it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
No, Saga is great.
Saga is great.
Liz just took home Saga and read the first volume.
Yes.
First
And,
hardcover.
The first
Yeah.
hardcover volume. That's right.
She, I don't want to say this.
Oh shit! Oh, go ahead. Go
She.
ahead.
Oh no. Okay.
Continue.
Did you just shit
Continue.
your pants or something? What happened?
What happened?
You said oh shit, and then I did.
Oh, okay. She actually read it faster than she read Invincible, with like more haste.
You gave it to her, and then I went
Oh,
over.
you mean a volume of a hardcover of Invincible?
Yeah.
Ryan? You gave it to her, and then Bill, I went to your house, like a couple days later, and I was like, "Are you reading Saga?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm more than halfway through it."
Yeah.
I should have just given her.
But
both
that's how it is though. Like you start it and you can't. It's not like
you can't stop that.
you can't stop. Like one thing leads to another, and you just by the time you're done, it's like midnight.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, if we're going to compare it a little bit to Invincible, I love Invincible and Saga is great, but Saga, there's something about it that it's very, very addicting. It's like Invincible has moments where it's like, okay, I could take a break.
I can't even talk about what's addicting about it though. It's not like it's
Yeah.
like full of action or like it's not. It's just like the character, the way the characters are
And
written.
the pacing, it just keeps it hooks you.
That's why I always compare it to Game of Thrones, is because for some reason, I mean, everyone knows why Game of Thrones is addicting, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Actually, so you'll learn more about how our feelings on that on the new Saga podcast.
No.
That
Man, I wish if it was 10 years ago
Years
or
ago.
whatever, I absolutely would have loved to start the Saga podcast. All right, moving on. We talked about this a little bit on the Oblivion Song podcast, but I wanted to mention it here because it is Ryan Ottley after all. His next project is Spider-Man. That was announced since last episode, and we're all very excited about it. TJ, you said you're going to try and read some Spider-Man before leading up to it?
because the Dan Slott.
Yeah.
I'm hearing good things about his run.
I think the
It
next
looked really
issue
awesome. It was
of Amazing Spider-Man is issue 400, and it's a
Yeah.
big
Oh
deal.
my God.
Yeah, and then they're doing the thing where they start at number 1 again for Otley.
so Otley's run isn't starting until 2 months from now.
it's Free
think so. I
Comic
think
Book
it's-
Day, and I think that's
Free Comic Book Day is like the
Is it
tease,
isn't it
and then
April?
after that it's the month after. So yeah, it's gonna be April, and then its first issue in May or June. I don't know exactly. We should probably have known that, but yeah, that's exciting. The art that we've seen so far is so good looking. It looks like this is going to be a comic that he's just gonna have a ton of fun drawing, and it's gonna show. But
I'm always interested to like ask Otley, or one thing I've been interested in since it was announced was, I can't remember who was the guy that said it, but I was at a Comic-Con and I was watching a what's it called? A draw
Panel. Sketch duel.
Yeah, sketch duel.
Yeah.
And they asked them, "What's the one character you like drawing the least?" And one of them said Spider-Man because of all the lines.
Oh yeah.
It's very he's very
the
time
webbing on
consuming. I wonder how Ottley feels about that. Otley's such a Spider-Man fan though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious.
I'm a little nervous about the story. We might have mentioned this when we talked about it last, but I'm a little nervous about the story and it being, within Marvel's canon. I hope that it's, I know they're doing a new issue 1, and it's going to be a good jumping on point for new readers, but I want to know how much,
Right.
They're obviously not starting from scratch.
Here's what I think is going,
but I want
it's
to know,
going to be. Like when DC did a reboot and stuff. So I think that like the first, major story is going to be very like simplistic, old school of what we know, and then like the next story they're going to probably introduce a character that we don't really know too much about, but probably should. You know what I mean? That's how DC was.
Like right now, Peter Parker's a little bit like he's older. He started like Parker Industries. He doesn't work at the Bugle, but then now I guess he kind of is going back to the Bugle. And Mary Jane works at like Stark Industries. Like it's a completely, I don't know, like Anti-Venom. Like I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man since, shortly after Civil War.
That's why I kind of like. I mean, obviously I read Batman and stuff, and Batman's guilty of it too. But I feel like Marvel even more so, especially with like the movies being so big. Like anytime I want to pick up a Marvel book. Like they're somehow connected to Avengers, and like she's running Stark Industries, and I'm like, well, shit, how did that happen? Like, do I need to read Iron Man now? Like,
that's what I mean. When we're reading Ottley's Spider-Man, if we're really getting to the story, we're gonna have to pick up other things too, right?
I don't want to.
See, so
it's still a Marvel book.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, but we're excited to check it out. They revealed or released or whatever at ECC. C.
Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah, they showed off. Well, first of all, they had the Adam Eve figures there for sale, which are now available on the Skybound store for everybody. But they also kind of surprised everybody with Marky and Terra pins. So the pins match the, Invincible and Adam Eve pins, and they kind of fit with that series. The Terra is the Terra from the variant cover. The Marky is the Marky from that first page splash of him flying upward. So those are pretty cool. Some more Invincible merch. Speaking of Invincible merch, though, we got the cover for the next MegaBox. It's Adam Eve on an all pink, cover.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So in the latest Skybound Out This Week video, they show off the fact that Adam Eve figures are available in the store, right?
Yeah.
The ones they use to show off are the robot leg variants.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they did intentionally.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, well, it's not like they show them in the box, but when they show her outside of the box, you notice her one leg is the robot version.
So that's the first official,
even
view of
that's not official though.
Right, but that's all I'm saying. Like that's the first time that they've been shown.
Yeah, and it's only from the knee up. But yeah, so we're assuming it's going to be in the mega box. It has to be. It's she's on the cover of the box. TJ, do you think there will be other Invincible stuff in it?
I think
it's going to be all Invincible. Why would she be on the cover?
Absolutely
they've
not.
never done an all one thing.
Really?
Oh, probably Walking
They've
Dead.
done Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I think the last one was all Walking Dead except for
right.
a slots variant.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe this would be like an Women of Skybound type box, and we'd get what's her name from Extremity, Michonne. I don't know.
I don't think that there's going to be. If there's going to be something else Invincible, maybe because she's on the cover. Maybe there will be something else, but it's going to be a 144
That'd be a big deal,
line variant.
So it's the same cover, just the lines, the two-tone.
How many things are normally in a mega box?
It guarantees a comic, a T-shirt, a pin, and an action figure, and then more.
Okay.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
More.
So Mike Barrett had a theory that the infamous fist might be in the box. Whether it be
from what Ottley teased.
Whether it's he suggested maybe a like a pinup or a variant, and that would be the variant.
Very smart. I bet he's right.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah.
What if it's a pinup of Marky being older, like throwing a punch at old Mark?
And that's the cover.
Wouldn't that be cool if that was a pinup?
I think it'd be crazy that there'd be a variant cover for the final issue, and it's and it's in a mega box because it was such a big deal that there's only 2.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Kirkman didn't seem to, like
I don't think I'd like it.
that there being another variant.
I don't think there's
Yeah,
going to
because
be.
it just like Kirkman said, like we said, it makes sense that it would just be the two of them, Corey and Ryan. Just
Yeah,
ending
I can absolutely see it being the fist being in the box, but I don't know. I don't want it to be because I want it to be something else. But we'll see. Again, another Skybound video. They put out. Did you guys watch that? There one. It was David Harper. Yeah, and there was this whole like what Invincible meant to him.
It was kind of
thing.
his review of the entire series as a whole and what he thought about it.
It was so good. It was
really
so
good.
good. Everything about the video was awesome. I really liked that.
Yeah.
TJ, you were telling me earlier about the Kirkman interview.
Yeah, so he did an interview. Who was it with? It was Oregon. Crap. I'm not prepared.
Was this the thing he did in LA that they've been advertising for a while?
Oregon Public Broadcasting.
Oh, no, that. Okay.
Did an interview with him, and it was an awesome interview. He goes in. He talks actually a lot about Invincible in this. He goes about like they talk about how he released Invincible and Walking Dead in the same year. How did that come about when they're so different? And he's like, well, I've actually been working on that year. I worked on a ton of comics, but those are the only 2 that really took off. And he explained like how he was selling that. Continue. He was like a starving artist, and he was like kept going and pitching them and like trying to convince them. He talks about a whole bunch of other stuff too. The one thing that I want to bring up though, because you guys haven't read the interview, right?
No, not yet.
So something cool at the very end of the interview is the interviewee, the guy who's interviewing him, basically goes on to say that the kind of conversation with him went on, and you can get the full thing in the audio version of it. But he says that he asked him about the Invincible movie and the deal at Amazon, to which Kirkman replied, "You'll probably be hearing some stuff very soon in the coming months around Comic-Con," he teased.
Wait, why did you just connect the Invincible movie and the Amazon deal?
Because that's how he asked him. He asked him.
Oh, okay.
They were talking about both of those like in one thing.
So
they're completely separate.
Okay,
but
so we might be hearing one or the other.
Based on our interview with Kirkman and when we talked about Invincible movie, I don't think we're going to get anything for the Invincible movie. No. But I do think we're going to get something from the Amazon deal.
Yeah, but the way you worded that question, the Amazon movie doesn't have anything, or the Amazon deal doesn't have anything to do with Invincible, right?
It might not.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying that they were talking about those 2 simultaneously when he said that.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I listened to the Chris Hardwick interview with him earlier today on Chris Hardwick's ID10T podcast. It was formerly the Nerdist podcast. And he talks a good amount about Oblivion Song, and you guys should listen to it. And we'll bring up some of the stuff they said on the Oblivion Song podcast. But they mentioned the Invincible movie, not too much though, but that was also a really good discussion if you guys want to hear that. So yeah.
Are you talking about when he was like on the video with him on the couch talking to?
No,
Chris
he was actually on
that was...
the podcast.
Yeah, and it was actually it was.
Did you listen to it?
No.
Yeah, I will say though, even though they had a couple really funny moments, I still can't get out of my head, Bill, you telling Robert Kirkman that you were in the bathtub watching Waterworld. It's still one of the funniest things to me. Like Robert Kirkman laughing at the fact that you were watching Waterworld in your bathtub.
Yeah, and you guys couldn't see his reaction when he had Skype video. So that's one of the better moments for sure.
Yeah. So that does it for some housekeeping and some Invincible related news. We're gonna go on to our main discussion, which is all about Guarding the Globe. Guarding the Globe. It's split up into 2 volumes. The first volume, Under Siege. The second volume, Hard to Kill. This was announced back in March of 2010, and they announced it by showing off these fake teaser posters with Invincible, Rick Grimes, Barack Obama.
And you've been posting them on our Twitter.
Yeah, I posted them last week on the Twitter, kind of like teasing up. And
Harry
so
Potter.
Harry Potter. Those were meant to mimic the Avengers announcement teasers that Marvel was doing around that time. And just kind of poking fun. And afterwards, Bill, I got to show you in the actual issues, Chris Giarusso did little mini one-shot comics in the back of each
Like
issue.
sketch cards.
Yeah, well, like they're like little comics, like panels, like stories with those Guardians, with Barack Obama and Harry Potter and stuff like that, and it was really, really funny. So they teased it like that, and then they went on to actually show the real cast and everything. And so it came out because Kirkman wanted to tell the story of what's going on Earth, because this was right when Mark left for the Viltrumite War. And he was gone for, geez, how long was that? It was almost a year in our time. Because I remember being like, oh my God, we haven't seen Earth in a while. I think Mark got back and Eve was pregnant. Or no, she had lost the baby.
She had the abortion.
She had the abortion and gained all the weight. And so we hadn't seen Earth in a long time. And so this was a cool story to see. It was cool reading this along to get those glimpses of Earth.
Were these released like monthly?
So
like how were they released?
They were a monthly comic.
No, it was actually bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly?
Yeah. How it was originally pitched and released was the first volume was meant to be a six-issue mini series. It wasn't going to go on after that, and they were bi-monthly. And then the last 2 issues were actually more than bi-monthly. It struggled a little bit, and you could tell by the volume 1 where you could see the credits. It had a lot of artists lending a hand on volume 1 because there were some issues I think towards the end of these 6 issues in the first volume, but Invincible 71 came out in April of 2010, and the first issue came out in August. So it was about 4 or so months later, because I mentioned Invincible 71 because that's how this volume starts. This volume actually starts with a scene that is word for word, panel for panel, something
From
that
71.
happened in issue 71.
But redrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first 5 issues out of the 6 were drawn by Cliff Rathburn. It was written by Robert Kirkman, but also Benito Cereno, who wrote the Invincible Presents Adam, Eve, and Rex Explode stories. Kirkman said in an interview that Benito is has an encyclopedic knowledge of Invincible, so he was really good for this. There's the inkers, Ransom Getty inked some of it. Cliff Rathburn, Jonathan
Ransom Getty,
Glapian, Russell Jackson, and
Jonathan
Chris Anka.
Glapian actually does a lot of Batman.
Does he?
Yeah, he inks Batman. Ransom Getty did you say that Cliff Rathburn did it?
He inked some of it too.
No, I thought you said that Cliff Rathburn was the artist of it.
Oh no, the pencilers were just Ransom Getty for the first 5, and
for
then Chris
all of them
Anka
except for the last one.
6, yeah.
Chris Hankin.
Colorist FCO, who you guys know for a couple pages, actually, only a couple pages, like 4 pages of this whole thing. Ron Riley, Thomas Mason, Rex Stabs, and then of course we've got Russ Wooten for the letterer and Cena Grace editing.
Russ Wooten just does everything.
It's insane how much he
letters.
letters.
Does everything.
So yeah, Bill, TJ, you read this when they came out, after they came out. Do you remember?
I think I started it and got like halfway through and kind of fell off of it.
So this is your first time reading half of it.
Yeah.
Bill, this is your first time reading all of it?
Yes, any of it at all.
And then I read this when it was coming out, with each issue, just to give everybody a little idea of what we were familiar with. So Bill, what did you think of it? Now before we get too far into it, this is all going to be spoiler free.
Okay.
In case somebody wants to go on and read this, we're not going to ruin any major story beats or anything like that. Bill, would you recommend this to people?
1,000%.
Yeah?
Yes. It is, in my opinion, so important to Invincible.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, just for the Invincible War, or not the Invincible War, sorry.
Robot.
The robot takeover.
Robot
takeover.
Right?
That alone, when I was reading Guarding the Globe, and it was introducing all these characters, and I was getting to know them, I was like, oh, I remember how they died. Or I remember that person being there and being like, what?
Yeah.
Where did this even come from? Like, the barbershop scene comes to mind. Yeah, Elephant and Samson.
Elephant working in the barbershop and then running away.
And running away. I was like, what was that all about? Fucking makes perfect sense.
Right?
In Guarding the Globe.
Yeah. TJ, would you recommend this to Invincible fans?
Yeah. I honestly just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest.
What?
I just thought it was okay. It was like, it felt kind of sporadic to me. Like, literally, like, they're in one place and, like then you turn the page and they're in just, in the middle of a fight that doesn't really make... feel like there were holes here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's
just
how...
thought it was okay.
I think that's how team-up books kind of always feel,
I didn't
though.
feel like any of the other comic books that I read, really. I was going to say Invincible is, which I feel like Invincible is not like that, but I also don't feel like Batman is like that. I don't feel like Descender's like that. Saga's not like that. It's not... I don't know. I just thought I felt like there was a lot of randomness in this. I just didn't care for the randomness.
I think that's something that came about because of all the characters.
Yeah.
There was a ton of characters, and so
right.
it was
I agree.
it jumped around a lot. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
I feel like there was... You're going to yell at me because I know you're going to disagree, but I feel like there wasn't much character building in the entire series, but when there was, it was awesome. Like, the reason why Britt is pissed throughout this entire thing is amazing. Like, little things like what we find out about Yeti, Chupacabra, things like that. When it happens, it's awesome, but all the in-betweens was just like, eh. And then the ending, I felt like at the end, it started to take off, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get invested, and then it's ending.
Yes. It did feel a little weird that Japan Droid and, like, Cast Iron, like, you didn't really get anything from those characters.
Yeah.
There were... I mean,
and with
maybe,
all the fights, I felt like there was time. I feel like they could have fit some little things in there.
I think it was too many characters too quickly, and they had to get the ball rolling because it was only 6 issues. So I think given the time that they had, it was fine because it really didn't matter. I mean, yes, there would be... that's a little bit of spoilers, but we'll get into that.
I feel like there were characters that they probably could have done without entirely. Like Kaboomerang, I didn't really care about at all.
Yeah, I feel like we actually got a little bit more character development with him, more so than other characters.
Isn't that weird though? Because
but you're right, because he doesn't really matter as much. You don't care as much about him.
Yeah, so why spend time on him? You know what I mean? Compared to like
Yeti. It was interesting how little we see Xandil. But they talk about it.
But we were seeing a lot of him at the time in Invincible.
They even say at one point in this, they go to talk to him and he's like, I'm busy covering for Invincible, and he couldn't be in it. So actually that does make sense, but I was expecting to see a little bit more. But speaking of that, do you guys think that this stands on its own? This is sold in stores by itself. Somebody could pick this up and not have any idea what it is. Do you think this works if they don't read Invincible?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I feel like for this kind of book, you have to have a love for the universe.
Yeah, I guess so, but the universe isn't really built that much like around these guys, so this is almost the first time you kind of see them.
I just picked this up. Who the fuck is Cecil?
So right now,
okay.
You know what I mean?
So right now, somebody walks.
Cecil is a huge character.
Somebody walks into this room right now and talks to you and says that they've read this, but they haven't read Invincible. Like, what do you feel for them? Don't you think like
anger?
Like
yes, anger building.
Like, don't you feel like you didn't understand anything? Like, I feel like you wouldn't really get a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example is Bulletproof saying, I've been covering for, I've been Invincible for 6 months now or some shit like that. He was talking to Cecil, but...
The fan service in terms of villains and call-outs and stuff like that was amazing. I loved seeing all the villains, and there's some neat tie-ins to the universe.
I think the reason why I liked it so much is because I thoroughly enjoyed the last... little bit of Brit. And this, to me, Guarding the Globe, is like Brit 2.0.
Yes. And I remember, now, if you can think back to the last time we talked about Brit and Brit Volume 3, Kirkman says, like, there's going to be more Brit. I want to talk about him more. This is just it for now. This is what he was referring to. And there's so much that connects to Brit in this series.
It's to the point where it was almost, I was like,
almost
this is
necessary.
a Brit sequel. This is a Brit sequel.
Yeah.
It's about Brit. Like, it showed Brit at home more than it showed anybody else, any other character, which is fair because you care about Brit.
He was absolutely the main character.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was awesome in it. I liked Brit a lot in this.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about it.
All right, we're gonna get into some spoilers now. We're gonna actually talk about what we thought in detail. So either skip to the end of the podcast where we talk about some other stuff, maybe. Otherwise, go read it. Go read it. Seriously, go read it. Especially if you're a fan enough of Invincible to be listening to our podcast and you haven't read this yet, go check it out.
You said that with a little disgust. You're like, go read it.
Did I? I didn't mean it that way.
It's not even like it's not even like it's work. Like I felt Brit volume
one-ish, a little bit. Two though.
2 for sure is like ugh.
2 was a little rough.
Yeah, but that's work. This was fun.
This was so fun.
You said,
I got.
I'm sorry. Say that again. You said Guarding the Globe volume 2.
Sorry, Brit.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Brit.
Okay.
I was saying like that's almost work.
Yeah,
like I had to sit down and be like, okay, the podcast is tomorrow, and I haven't started this.
I love Astounding Wolfman. I feel like Astounding Wolfman.
You better watch out.
Is harder to read.
Oh my god!
That's
crazy.
I'm sorry, but this is just it's the fan service of it. This is Invincible. Wolfman is standalone. If I ask that question about somebody walking in saying, "Oh yeah, I read Wolfman, but I didn't read Invincible," they're not crazy.
No way.
It stands on its own, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I love Invincible so much. This is like more of Invincible. This is basically Invincible. Whereas Wolfman, it's amazing. It's standalone.
Obviously, you guys like this more than me. I mean, we're in spoiler, right?
All right, we're starting spoilers right now. Go ahead, TJ.
When Wolfman showed up in this, I'm like, thank fucking. I was so excited when he showed up.
You know,
like, not even my love for the character. I mean, it was my love for the character, but like, I wanted more of that.
So Wolfman. When Wolfman,
this is a
direct sequel to Wolfman.
The
epilogue of Wolfman.
It continues the story, for sure.
The epilogue of Wolfman, the final issue came out in November of 2010. When this issue that he's in came out in later that year, the end of 2010. So
Wolfman ended
in the
with
epilogue,
little Grogs.
It was the little Grogs and the Wolf Corp jumping out of a helicopter fighting them. This issue continues that fight. This volume.
You know how that. If you want to know how that ends, you have to read Guarding the Globe, TJ. So, Wolfman, but without this Guarding the Globe book, you would never know what happened.
If you haven't read Wolfman.
But...
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, if we're talking about Wolfman, I think it was what happened in Volume 2, because on El Chupacabra...
We're gonna jump right to all that. We'll get to that. Let's start a little bit.
It's going to be hard to go chronological, because there are things that I really liked about the book.
I know. And it's okay if we jump around a little bit, but I've got a little bit of an outline.
All right,
I loved how it started with that retelling of issues Invincible 71, showing why Robot and Monster Girl aren't in this. They leave, and it's Cecil being like, what the fuck, we've got to stop. Like, the reason why this exists, the reason why they find new members and everything, and why it's called Guarding the Globe, is because Cecil says lately they're just a bunch of Americans protecting the United States. He says they want to live up to their name and actually start guarding the globe. And so they want to expand the team and go out and find members from all over the world.
So I want to ask, and it was probably right around the same time as this, do you guys know what Batman Incorporated is? It's the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember. And
exactly
I think it was kind of around the same
Isn't
time.
that when Bruce Wayne apparally said that he funds Batman?
Yeah,
and he's starting Batman Incorporated or something?
Yeah, where they have Batman training centers all around the world, and they're basically making superheroes and hold them to a certain standard.
But again,
it was actually really good.
So is Guardian the Globe, which is Justice League.
Right.
I mean
Marvel's done it.
The Guardians of the Globe, the original team was Red Rush was from Russia. Aquarius or whatever was from Atlanta or Atlantica.
Right.
And so on. Like, it was a global team originally.
Another thing I'll say too, like the very first fight that we see in this comic, you see Invincible on his phone.
Yeah, which he is on his phone in that issue. Yeah.
Invincible's not in this at all.
No, they didn't.
After that, he's not in it at fucking all.
It wasn't like they used him for most of it to kind of push sales. It was like, nope, he's not in it. He is gone. He can't be. He's in space.
To push sales, they put him front and center on the cover.
Of the first cover of the first issue. Yeah, you are right.
Such a good cover.
Yeah,
Ransom Getty, man.
Ransom Getty is awesome. He does such a good job on these characters. The way he draws these characters, I love, especially Shapesmith and everything.
If we're going in chronological order, then we should talk about Brit, because this is where he gets his costume and his fucking rocket boots and gloves,
which from Invincible,
right?
He puts his son in it.
But you don't know where'd he get this stuff from?
Yeah,
it's in this.
Yeah, and why does he have rocket powered gloves and boots, Bill?
Because he can't hurt anybody. He's just used to...
He doesn't have super speed. He doesn't have super strength. He's just indestructible.
At one point,
he just can't be
Britt
hurt.
said the way that he fights people is by tearing down the building around them or throwing himself into stuff.
He's trying to get them to throw him into a building to
Right.
crumble down
Yeah.
on them.
Right.
And,
But which I loved, and I loved how he actually was like, I kind of like the costume. You know
oh
what
yeah,
I mean?
to
'Cause-
his wife.
Yeah, he was like, I've been a superhero for centuries. It's about time I start like looking the part. Him in the beginning when he crashes because he can't get the landing,
can't land.
and oh my, what's the cyborg guy's?
Donald.
Donald,
Jesus,
wow.
recognize
You
it.
messed me. I had it in my head until you said,
said duh.
Doug, and I was like, Douglas? It's not Douglas.
But when he was like, "Do you need help landing?" He's like, "No, I got it," and he just face plants into the fucking ground. But my question is, Britt is indestructible, right? Invulnerable. Okay. So when he punches somebody with those rocket gloves, technically that's not as strong as his fist. So couldn't his fist break those rocket gloves right away?
Oh yeah, I guess. I mean, robot made them. Maybe they're super strong.
Okay.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. Science.
Yeah. Same thing as when he's in a car and he drives a car into something. I mean, he would just go through the car, and to a point, I think he does.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's another part. Oh my God, there's so much in this book I liked.
I love how weird Shapesmith is, and they call him Robbie and everything. Like when he goes over, to Black Samson's house, and him drinking the beer.
I'm
And
thinking that's
everything,
really
like,
gross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he just acts like a little kid, like he's an alien. Like I liked. We never really got to see that character too much, and I liked getting to see that.
He was kind of the
Explore
comic
some more.
relief of everything.
Absolutely,
He was.
He was the comic relief. He was the Joker. He was the goofball of this series. I liked seeing Octobos some more.
Octobos was very cool. Every time I think of Octobos, I think of our friend Rob, who was on the podcast before. He said that Octobos is his favorite character, which is crazy, but I kind of get it.
But it was cool seeing so much Octobos. Like he was like the main villain of Atlantis essentially. And I like how, and we're going to get into this more later, but how every region kind of has their villain, and each hero has their arch nemesis, and each location has its main villain, and you can kind of see that where Octobos is the villain of the ocean, and it just fit really well.
So, so guarding the globe, it begins with Britt going out and finding new recruits. And one of the first people that he goes out and recruits is Yeti.
Yeah.
Who, if you remember in the Invincible comic, gets his face burnt like too crisp by Robot, and the wing girl, what's her name?
Pegasus
carries him off and everything like that. And you're like, who is this guy? He just showed up in Invincible. And then you get to know the origin. He is a fucking ice giant or whatever?
Whatever the frost giant thing was called. From Brit.
Yeah.
He's their kid.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's not...
Well,
That's jumping way ahead.
That is jumping pretty far ahead, but
But I will say that is my favorite part of everything.
Really? The fact that like this entire time he's like super excitable and like, I can't wait. I mean, he's hugging Brit.
No, it's the fact,
and
the fact that he's 12 years
yes,
old.
and why he's so like that. And he's
That
like,
was my favorite part of this entire thing.
He doesn't go out drinking. At one point, when they're all at a party, he's home. He's home,
missing his family and stuff.
Family,
yeah,
and you don't know why. You're just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is weird.
Because he looks so ferocious and everything, but when he's
my
calm,
favorite character of this whole
yeah,
thing,
when
too.
he's calm, he's just a goofball.
Yeah.
Like he's just very excited about everything. He's excited to be a part of the team. With him and like Britt punching Octobos together, he's like, oh yeah, that just happened.
Yep.
And
He was just a fan. He's just
Yeah.
a fan. I thought that was really cool. I liked seeing. So let's talk about the Wolfman. So that issue, I think it was issue 2 or 3 or something.
that was in the first volume.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Fighting all the Gorgs. So right where they left off from the Wolfman final issue, and I don't know, it was just cool. We got all the Guardians going back there to help, and
The Wolf Corp was like taken out.
yeah,
Like they were done. It was, I think, Wolfman was left with maybe one other wolf guy.
And they reassembled Stonehenge.
In America.
Yeah, like it's in upstate New York or something like that.
Yeah,
And
it's like in some farmer's backyard or something like that.
But it was just cool. It's like, okay, well, they finished that storyline. Like, that's a thread that was finished. TJ, what'd you think of the bad guys? So, throughout all this, we've got this villain named Set assembling.
Which I like his name for some reason. It's simple.
Yeah. I thought he was cool. I'm terrible with names. What's her name?
The girl, like his assistant.
Yeah.
The ghost girl? Oh, no.
Embrace.
Yes.
Yeah, Embrace.
She was very cool.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot. with Set, you don't. They don't really give you a lot of information about him, so it's hard to really like him until like later on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the more I found out about him, the more I liked him. But they kept his whole origin a secret.
Yep.
His whole, what he can do. He obviously he causes some fucking mayhem.
Oh yeah.
But you don't really know why or what's going on or anything. So I thought he was cool, but I liked Embrace a lot right from the beginning.
So do we want to talk about what he can do? Because you find out at the very end of the
not
first...
yet. We'll get to that when that fight happens, because it doesn't change anything beforehand. Because what he's doing,
he's assembling
these issues, is one of my favorite things about Invincible is the villains and the random cast of villains. And I love that 1-2-page spread. I don't know which issue it's in, but it's all of them lined up, and he's going through the list. I actually have it right here.
It's when they announce who the new Guardians are.
Yeah. I loved seeing this page, and it's showing everybody. It's like Master Lu, head of the Asian territories, and it's Multipole.
Yeah.
So Multipole is working with Master Lu, which is the dragon guy. Titan, New York City. Embrace in the Middle East. Titan has Isotope with him. Machine Head.
The Face.
Yeah, Machine Head from where is it? Los Angeles. The Face is Canada and northwestern United States. Insomniac is North Africa. Red Eye is Brazil. War Woman is the Mediterranean Sea area.
Woman.
Slaying Mantis is Ireland. Octoboss is all the oceans. War Woman.
Can
we talk about War Woman for a minute?
Let's talk about War Woman.
War Woman, wasn't she...
Oh, Bill. Do you not remember?
She was in a sex scene with someone during something.
I don't have my volume 1 here.
Of what?
Of Invincible nearby. Anyways, issue 7 of Invincible, the Guardian Globe one, where it's showing all the Guardians, and then at the end, Omni-Man kills them. Mm-hmm. In her little scene, she's in bed with, or she wakes up out of bed, and her girlfriend is cooking her breakfast, and one of these stone guys crashes through the wall and says, "Your mother demands that you come back." And War Woman's like, "No, I'll never go back." And she kills that thing, and then she gets the call to go to the base to be killed by Omni-Man, kisses her girlfriend and says, "I'll be back," and then leaves. This is her girlfriend. She even says later in this issue, or later in a couple issues, when she goes to throw the axe at Chupacabra, she says, you guys scorned my love, and I will get my revenge for her.
Ah, no way!
No way!
TJ, how could you not like this book?
It's so good. It's so good.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
And now, when did the Walking Dread become a thing? Because who really liked him?
Ottley designed him and just came up with him as a character. Geez,
where did he show up?
It was like early 80s in Invincible, just as a random villain. That's it.
Who was the guy that he designed?
It was Walking Dread, and then
and
then that purple monster that was in the snow that one time around the same time. So yeah, War Woman. It even says who has taken over the Isle of Amazonia and become So yeah, she took over. She went back to Amazonia where, her lover refused to go back to because she had some unknown disagreement with her mother, killed all the Amazonians and took over Amazonia and gained control of the army. So yeah.
Which is all presumed.
Again, yeah. Well, no, she says that. She says she gained control. She went there and wreaked havoc or whatever. But yeah. Before we get too much further in, we should talk about all the heroes now. We just talked about the villains. What about...
we talked about Kaboomerang.
All right, so from
Kaboomerang from Australia, we got to see him fighting Dingo.
Yeah,
and he throws explosive boomerangs with telekinesis.
That you learn because originally you just think that it's just him throwing boomerangs.
Yeah,
but he actually controls them with telekinetic power.
Yep,
that's his thing.
He said it's like slight telekinesis, it's not. Yeah.
So from left to right, the beginning of chapter 4. This is where it introduces pretty
much the whole team.
All of them. So Cast Iron, who's nobody.
Yugoslavia, which we really learned nothing about.
Outrun, which I loved that fucking
Outrun.
What happened with her?
Oh my
we
god,
find out.
I know.
That's why I liked Embrace.
El Chupacabra, Yeti, who we talked about, Le Bruiser, which is that little fucking dog.
Yep.
Like and then there's a part where Cecil's like
French bulldog.
Yeah, Cecil's like, "Who's my little superhero?"
He smells like an ashtray. Did he fall asleep in a bar again?
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't want to know.
Oh my god, so perfect. Pegasus, Kid Thor, who
Now, Kid Thor and Knockout are two of the main characters from Capes. So when you read Capes, you'll know all about their origin.
Okay. Can Kid Thor ever let go of his hammer?
You'll find out more later. You don't know yet.
And Japan Droid.
Like Android?
Yeah, Japan. I want to add another Android in there somewhere. Japan Droid? I got it.
There you go.
Japan Android.
Nope, that's
Japan
wrong.
Android.
You had it.
That's a little
Japan Droid.
Japan Droid. When I was reading, I was like, "Ooh, is that
No, I think Japan
No?
Droid's fine.
okay?"
Uh,
And Samson, Black Samson's in there too.
oh yeah.
Bulletproof, but this is
Well,
like
Bulletproof actually isn't. Oh, neither of them are, don't they?
yeah, that's what. But they're part of the team.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is like this is the extended people that
team.
like aren't because Brit's not in that picture either because
And now we know.
Oh, and
and
Best
there's-
Tiger.
And then Best Tiger, of course.
Best
But
Tiger,
before we
man.
get to Best Tiger, El
Fucking Best
Chupacabra
Tiger.
is distraught. Like, he is introduced from the get-go because of, what was it? Like,
his wife left him.
his wife left him for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and he's an alcoholic now, and he just is not handling it well. And so that is a major story point that comes into play. What'd you think of Best Tiger, Bill? You never really got exposed to why everybody loved Best Tiger.
So when it turned the page and it was like Best Tiger, all I could think was TJ and mine, the battle, the superhero fight.
Oh yeah, and
we
TJ
did.
saying like, "Oh, trust me."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and then you saying I think that he might be able to actually win. He's badass.
he is really badass.
Like
Who was he fighting? Do you remember?
He was fighting Invincible.
And he was
was
he
Bulletproof
was
or
fighting
something,
a drunk
It wasn't Drunk Invincible, but it was someone like
in
Invincible.
our fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Drunk Invincible. Oh no, that was Immortal.
That was Immortal.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Man, our Super Fight episode is really good. If you haven't
Right.
listened to our Super Fight episode,
Right, and there
we
will
gotta
be
do
more.
another one.
We'll
Yeah.
definitely do another one, especially now that we know all these characters and after you all read this and get caught up. But so Best Tiger,
Yeah.
his power, like everyone else's, gets slowly explained. Like originally you're just like, okay, so he's really good at shooting, right? But that's not it.
Well, wait, what am I thinking of then? What is it?
You don't remember?
Trying to.
He can see like think like Sherlock Holmes, where he notices everything, he can hear everything. Like he figured out that Outrun wasn't Outrun
Oh,
because
that whole thing.
Right.
The
because she
whisper,
shaved because her armpit hair
Do you think that that's?
stubbled whistled. That is his power. Cecil
You
even
think
talked
it's
about it.
a superpower?
Oh, no, Robot talked about it. Robot was like his computing power what is like outmatched, and I'm surprised he doesn't use that with he compared it to something else because Best Tiger was doing something. Oh, it's when he figured it out that it was
Oh,
whatever.
because when yes, that's in volume 2. But when they're sitting at the computer and Outrun is talking to all the boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah. No, that's cool. I love it. I love the fact that because he's so good at that, because he has that ability, he blindfolds himself, so it's more of a challenge.
Right.
Because everything's easy to him.
Yeah, there's even a part where he says, "Name not good tiger."
God, that's one of my favorite lines in the entire
name not
book.
good tiger. It's Best Tiger,
Yeah.
and he speaks with because he's from China,
I think so. It
Is that what
says
I'm-
it says that he's speaking Mandarin at times.
Mandarin, so China, or in that general area. But yeah, no, his introduction was badass.
Yep. Did you guys notice? If you guys go ahead, I want to talk about the big scene that happens with El Chupacabra and Cast Iron. So there's this, Set and the whole villains start attacking everywhere in the world. We see that, which was cool, seeing all the different locations and all the heroes fighting, all the different villains. But at one point, if we could find it, there's a point in which War Woman shows up to fight them. And I didn't notice this the first 2 times I read it, but at her feet we've got 3.
Oh my God! It's
People.
Glenn fucking Abraham and Rick Grimes.
Yep, and even his name tag even
Get
says
the
Grimes.
fuck out of here!
Oh, that's
Oh
funny. I
my
didn't catch that
God!
either.
So there's a Walking Dead cameo in there.
Holy shit!
It's like really good looking too.
That's straight. And I saw Abraham first, and I was like, that's fucking holy shit.
Yep.
Wow, but Rick
Yeah.
has his hand.
In color.
Mm-hmm.
It is in color.
But it was just cool. That's when War Woman is, taking it out on the race of men and everything like that, and she gets in this fight with El Chupacabra, and he's basically breaking down, saying, because he's probably drunk at this point, like Britt didn't want him on the team to begin with because he is a drunk and sloppy.
And Cecil demanded that he was on there because he was like, you don't know what he's done.
What he's
for
done
us.
for us, yeah.
And we don't.
Which we don't
never
find
know.
out.
Yeah.
But she's beating the shit out of El Chupacabra, and he like says okay, like he's letting her kill him, and so she goes to throw her axe at him, and Cast Iron jumps in front of it and takes the blow, and they take off and go away, and that causes a huge rift between Britt and El Chupacabra.
And kind of Cecil.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, because Cecil's still kind of standing up for him, right? And
Yeah,
still
well,
giving him
even
jobs.
still.
He's basically saying, like, you don't run this team. You can't make these calls to...
Yeah.
Britt said that to Cecil.
You know, Cecil's saying that to Britt at this point. But then, later on, Britt's like, fuck this. I'm taking control.
Yeah.
And,
He
Yeti's
refuses
not
to
going to be on the team anymore. And then Cecil's like, you can't just, like, choose. And he said, yes, I'm fucking doing it.
They lose Yeti, too.
Yeah,
You're right.
because once Britt finds out that Yeti is 12 years old, he's like, you're off the team.
Yeah.
He's like, but yeah, he kind of takes control over.
So El Chupacabra feels like
decision-making.
shit. Cast Iron dies. Did you guys see this Vault cameo or whatever? We
yeah.
got Vault, Doc Seismic. Vault, who I think originally showed up in Wolfman. So yeah, Cast Iron dies. El Chupacabra is kicked off the team by Britt.
And he goes to the funeral, and they kind of beats the shit out of him because he's like trying to apologize.
Scene.
You would, I don't know if I would go to the funeral if I was El Chupacabra.
Oh, I know. No, it was crazy.
Now, who did the art for this? Because
So
this looks very different.
That one's still Ransom Getty. The last issue is the new guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't that look different though, or maybe it's
It
just
might
the
have had
coloring
different. It
of
might have
or
had
something?
different inkers because remember
Yeah.
a lot of the inkers changed too.
Right.
So we throughout all of this, we've got Outrun sleeping around, which we probably just assumed that was character development, right?
Right. She's fast. Like I just thought that she was.
She and all of it seems like every time she goes to hook up with one of them, it almost makes sense. Like, oh, I can make you feel better. Like she's, it's never seems too forced. But at one point, doesn't she like hit on like Pegasus or not
She does.
Pegasus?
She does. No,
Who
she
was
does. It
Was
is.
it
Oh
Pegasus?
no! It's Knockout.
Knockout. Yeah.
I did
Knockout,
not
yeah.
think that this was character development. I knew something else was going on.
Something was going
You
on.
did?
It
Really?
kept happening.
Yeah.
It kept happening. I was like, they're setting something up.
And
So-
they let it go for a while. It wasn't until like halfway through or almost the end of Volume 2 that it comes
Yeah.
out.
So I thought the same thing, TJ, because she does it to El Chupacabra, and she's like, "Oh, I'll make you forget your wife," and then 2 pages later, she's doing it to Kaboomerang.
And the way she's doing it, like, seems a little villainous.
Yeah.
Right, but so at that point, I was like,
canon.
yeah, yep. At that point, I was thinking, oh, she's up to something. Something's got to happen. But then it didn't happen for a while. And then it would just happen periodically. Like there'd be one more time where it would happen
Because it
with
kind of slowed down.
with Xander.
Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany fucking showed up. I
Yeah.
love that. So I didn't think anything of it. But it didn't get revealed until Volume 2, right?
Yeah, almost
That's
the end of Volume 2.
crazy.
They kept it going for a while.
Yeah.
So the rest of this volume, set, since they've kind of disbanded the team a little bit, used that as an opportunity to destroy Paris. And we got this crazy splash page of Paris in ruins, the Eiffel Tower destroyed, and he says, what, 5 minutes or something like that? 10 minutes?
It looks like the Invincible War with all the Invincibles.
The long 4 panels per page. I love it.
There's a body that's cut in half. And
This guy has
there's-
something stabbed through him.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of gore. There is a good amount of gore, and it's like decimated the entire. What would they say? Billions, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They did it all in 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. This is what we can accomplish working together.
And well, Set even said like he doesn't have a motive,
An agenda.
an agenda. He just wants to kill.
Wants to destroy.
He just wants to kill and destroy, or so we think.
And we find a little bit more about that later.
Right.
So the final issue of Volume 1 is just the team showing up to handle the situation. And during this fight, Set's mask is removed.
I hated this.
I wasn't crazy
I
about
did
it the
not
first
like
time. I
it.
will agree with that, TJ.
I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, it was too confusing.
At
And I think
first-
one thing was like when he Set like freezes time, and that's not clear to me. It wasn't clear to me like until he says, "Oh, I've stopped. I brought these two armies to a standstill," and blah blah blah. Like it's like, oh, okay.
That's not what he
like,
can do.
You would think that he would
can
like.
control everybody, right?
Yes.
He doesn't stop time. He just stops
He's
them.
like Xavier.
Okay, yeah.
And the helmet stops his natural ability to
So
do
he
that.
does it to himself. It's like Charles Xavier wearing Magneto's helmet intentionally,
Yeah.
blocking it in, so
Right.
he can't do anything. I guess I don't know if that's
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, he says
that's right.
He says the whole reason why he wore the helmet was because he needed to prove to his father.
That he could do it without his powers,
he could
which we
do-
find out at
Yes.
the very, very end of the entire series.
No, it's you
I
find out
liked
right
that.
here.
I thought that was kind of interesting, like a villain who's like, I'm intentionally limiting myself in order to prove myself, essentially.
Zuko. A little Zuko-ish.
Zuko.
This is when Japan Droid gets really cool because everyone else is down, and she's the only one that's up.
Because he couldn't stop her,
Right.
Because she was synthetic.
And she walks up to him and he says, I was able to drop 2 armies without any kind of whatever. And she walks up to him and she says, calculating odds of success 0.0001%, odds of my surrender 0.0000%. And she just goes at him and he demolishes her.
Okay, just like she jumps at him and she's smashed. That's it.
Right. But that's when I
Oh, all right, she's cool.
I was like, oh, I don't really know who this person is, but
I liked her more in the next
board.
one. I liked her more in the
yeah,
next
she's
one.
fucking great
Oh
in
my
the next
God.
one.
So it ends with him just walking away, like that's it. It's done. All those villains disperse. And one big thing that happened at the end of this. I don't know if you guys remember Invincible issue 82. You open the page, the very first page of Invincible 82 is Rex's face, and he's older. He has the beard, and he says, "What have I missed?" or something like that. It's him coming back. This issue came out before that. This was the actual return of Robot and Monster Girl. So I knew they were coming back before reading Invincible. And so they just show up at the end.
Wow. No shit.
And that's yeah.
Huh.
Because he has the mask off and everything in the issue of Invincible.
You're
you don't
right.
see this moment of them coming back through
You're
the portal.
right. And he's got like partial robot armor on and
Which is what they look like when they step into the portal in Invincible in the flashbacks.
wow.
So yeah. And then at the end, of course, Yeti is welcomed
Gets
back
his
to the
moment.
team. So you ready to talk about Volume 2?
I am so ready to talk about
Okay.
Volume 2.
Volume 2, Hard to Kill.
So now you said there's
This one, so they relaunched this like a year and a half later. So yeah, it was like, okay, we're bringing it back with a new team. It's called Guarding the Globe. It's still, Guarding the Globe. It's going to be a new ongoing series.
With that being said, too, one thing that I guess I would have been wrong about, but ended up being right about, is the entire time I was reading the first volume, I was thinking, her sleeping around, something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it wasn't. Nothing was going on. That was just her character until they decided to further her character and further this story. Do you think that that was always going on? Do you think that that was always Embrace?
I think so, because they introduced Embrace as
they
a character.
never did.
They introduced Embrace as a character in Volume 1, and she didn't do a lot.
Right, she didn't. But
So
do you
I
think
think
that they
that was
always
always-
planned on coming
That'd
back
be
to
an
that?
interesting question to ask, whether it be Phil Hester or Benito Cirino or Kirkman even, like, when those kind of storylines, I mean, they have to be passed on to the next writer. You know what I mean? Like, they
But
obviously
do you think when he was writing the last issue of Volume 1,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that he knew that eventually they were going to write a Volume 2?
I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to think so.
it would have to be because you're right, TJ. That thread was never
Volume 1 was launched in August of 2010. Like I said, it was almost a year for that volume to be completed. And then Volume 2, first issue, came out in September of 2012. So it was almost a year and a half or so before it actually continued. But again, this was Kirkman Kirkman knows the storylines. He co-wrote the first one. You know, his name isn't on the writers on the second one, but so Volume 2 was written by Phil Hester. We now have an artist who continues with this and the next Invincible universe, Todd Knock, colored by John Roche, who is coloring Invincible at the time, and of course Russ Wooten as our letterer, with now Sean Makowitz as the editor, who took over for Cena Grace. So yeah, Volume 2 starts off with Magnemites, and we just get to see a little bit of them. That's kind of cool, some Doc Seismic stuff. But the big thing that starts off in Volume 2, go ahead, Bill.
This was crazy. So, Britt goes, because the whole time he's like, I'm too busy for this, I have to be somewhere. And and it's a meeting with his wife, Jess, and his son, little Britt, who's, 2, maybe?
Yeah, Britt Jr.
2, 3. He has autism.
Yeah.
Or he's being diagnosed with autism right now.
But he does.
I think it's pretty. They make it pretty clear that he does have it throughout
Yeah.
it. I mean, whether or not how strong of a case, or I don't know the terminology for that, we don't know. Because we don't get to see him much when he's older, except for that one scene with Tara. But
Well, yeah, that's the one thing that I was trying to bring it back to.
he says one thing. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, but he didn't show any kind of social, being uncomfortable in a social environment.
In 2 panels, I don't think that can be expressed. And the doctor even said, it might be a mild case, and it might be something that changes a little bit as he gets older.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But I didn't really need any character building with him, though.
You didn't like this?
No, I did.
Okay.
I'm saying I didn't need more to understand that he had autism. You know
all
what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just trying to connect it to, trying to see if there were signs of it throughout, Invincible, you know what I mean? But what a fucking real way to open up.
Right?
This
one starts and ends with that very real.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, that felt more Kirkman-y than, I feel like the first one did. Because the first one was just, straight up superhero action and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This one had,
But it's not Kirkman.
oh, your little boy. I know, but it's Kirkman environment.
Yeah, this one started to feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more like their story is all right, you could tell, Phil Hester had the reins and they've gotten all the introductions out of the way. The first one packed so much. I love the first one. It managed to pack a lot of characters, a lot of introductions, a lot of story elements into the first volume without without ever being too sloppy. But this one was okay, we got all these characters out of the way. You know who everybody is. Now they can start telling a little bit, taking their time with the story.
Best Tiger and Kaboomerang, assuming that they were just out, but but then Kaboomerang was like, we're on a mission, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Best Tiger takes off his tie and ties
wraps
around
it
his
around.
eyes.
Yep.
I love that.
Le Bruiser. Never really talked about him.
Little Bruiser, or
Le
Bruiser.
Le Bruiser, it would be.
I loved seeing him smoking.
Yeah.
And then everybody showing up being like, that's just so wrong. And it's well, his city, his home city was just destroyed.
Yeah.
The Maulers are back, or at least a Mauler is still alive.
One of the Maulers.
So one of them, and Invincible even mentions it, which now we see a little bit more of Xandil in this, but Invincible even mentions the fact that you know that guy you have marked deceased in your records? Well, you might want to change that, because before this, the last time we had seen the Maulers was Oliver killing them. So this was the official return of the Maulers. And that's why he says, oh, you don't think I would have one of them stored away, duplicate style? And that's why long after this, when Marx fights him again in Invincible, they have the little bubble on the bottom of the panel that says, read Guarding the Globe Volume 2 to understand why, or whatever. So yeah. What did you have to say, Bill?
So, well, in this is where, Robot is talking about all the different missions that people are on, how Japan Droid, Kid Thor, and Knockout have made peace with the Magmites.
Yeah.
But then also what Best Tiger was doing. And then he said, it's pretty remarkable. He was able to discern that a small dip in the rate of normal criminal activity from this particular cell meant that they were involved in something out of the ordinary. The guy's a supercomputer with sidearms, lots of upside. I think that's about it. Oh, no, wait. Oh, Japan Droid and I believe that advanced systems analysis he exerts in combat situations is also subconsciously applied to larger problems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the idea
subconsciously, he doesn't even...
I love the idea that he's subconsciously a supercomputer.
He doesn't even know how good he is.
Yeah.
Just kind of
He's not good. He's best.
He's so, but I mean that's cool. Like he subconsciously, he just thinks that it's like his innate ability.
Yeah,
or
you
like
wearing a blue shirt right now is like me understanding that you shave with an upward motion or a downward motion. That's just the same to him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So maybe he would be able to take on. I think it was Oliver.
No,
it wasn't Oliver.
I think it
might
was
have been
Bulletproof.
Oliver. Well, it might have been Oliver.
Either way, it's
He would put up a fucking
was it
fight.
Omni-Man? I don't know. Either way, you're gonna see more Best Tiger in the next volume.
In this volume.
What's that?
In this volume.
In this volume.
So where does this fall with Invincible
So
Universe?
right now in the Invincible universe, this is Mark is back from the Viltrumite War, and actually a little ways after that, this is he's sick. So that's why Xandal is wearing his costume.
This is like upper 90s, right before 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is right before 100 because remember when Mark got sprayed with the virus?
Yes.
And in space, Robot and all these Guardians show up in space with their masks on to be able to breathe and everything like that. It was another one of those scenes where it was like, oh, this feels weird. Like, I don't know who any of these characters are, but they all go to the base where he's sick, and you don't know who half of them are.
Mm-hmm.
And then after this, Invincible Universe takes place, it takes place right after issue 100.
Invincible Universe.
Yep.
And how was that issues, or was that?
Those were issues 1 through 12. It's the same series as this. They decided to change the name. So they started it with an issue 1 because they're changing the name. But honestly, it would make more sense to tie this volume into those because it's same writers, same artists. It just continues the story of volume 2.
So how does that compare to this?
It's the same. It's good.
That's good?
It's good.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad I have more to read.
Yeah.
Not better or worse. You're just saying.
I honestly don't remember because I've been focusing so much on these two, and I have a special place in volume 1 in my heart because I love Ransom Getty's art on these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Knock does awesome too, especially because you get so used to his style over these 3 volumes. I don't remember a lot of Invincible Universe.
I remember I started that too. I don't think I finished that.
Yeah, I don't think I
though.
read it since I've read the single issues.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to reread that one. But yeah, back to volume 2 though. I loved this whole mudslide scene. The mud, again, talking about Knock. Why did I just say I just said his name? Todd Knock. I love
Todd Knock
the
is
mud.
gonna be in
Brit covered in
Toronto tomorrow.
Is he really? For what?
Toronto Comic-Con.
That's tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh shit, are you going?
I've been thinking about it, but I don't know.
I can't afford to go, but I want to go.
I'd like
You
to.
should go and see Todd Knock. That'd be awesome.
could.
Anyways, but yeah, I love this whole mudslide scene. And it was crazy. And Britt being all not there, like TJ, you were talking about why Britt is angry in the first one was everything with Chupacabra and Yeti.
Right.
This one, the leader of the team has other stuff on his mind because of Britt Jr.
Right.
And this one, oh my gosh.
I think
the stuff
that this
Britt
page is a
goes
play
through,
on something in Dark Knight.
doesn't it
When
kind of
he's
look
fighting,
like that?
when he's fighting in the mud.
With Joker?
No, with
With that mutant guy.
Yeah, the leader of the mutants.
It kind of reminds me of that.
It looks exactly like a page. I think they did a play on it. But yeah, but the way that this starts out was kind of cool because he saves a little girl and gives him back to her. Gives her back to her parents.
He saves
and
a
was
boy
like,
and a girl.
What the fuck were you thinking?
And the boy
like,
was dead.
Like, yeah, but like the parents had just
and
lost their kid, and he's just beating him up like verbally, just being like,
didn't he say how could you not pay attention?
How could you not pay attention to something so precious?
Oh, yeah.
Like he's clearly having issues with his son.
Yeah. So next thing I want to talk about is go ahead, Bill.
Well, I was just gonna say this is when
we find out what Mahler's been up to.
Yeah, what he's been up to.
Yeah, Kaboomerang goes there with who? Like Japan Droid or something?
No, Best Tiger.
Oh yeah, that's because they were working on that mission. Yep. So Mahler's plan was to clone himself in a different way.
Yeah, which I mean, should we just
see
tell what it is, or?
Yeah.
I mean, when this happened, I was thinking, because they talk about it later, they go into it. I thought that I honestly didn't think that he was really doing anything wrong, but then I assumed oh, he must be keeping these women like against their will or something, because he even said beforehand, he's like, I'm not like some sexual deviant.
Yeah.
And he was kind of making
later on,
he was
he's
defending
got
himself.
the lawyer and everything, and he was like, oh yeah, they all signed to be here of free will. And
right.
everything like
And
that.
I was like, yeah, so he didn't do anything wrong. So that's kind of...
It's weird. And
I like that.
I like it.
I like that story-wise.
But I don't remember if it comes up again in Invincible Universe. So there's just a ton of Maulers out there still to this day. You know what I mean? Like
That's cool.
It's cool.
Keep the line going.
Yeah.
It's out there.
There's a lot of Maulers out there. But his whole plan was to just set off a bomb that impregnates all these... It changes the men, right?
It changes the men's like DNA or something like that to where anything that they reproduce is a Mauler twin.
Yeah,
or is a Mauler. And they call it a rape bomb.
Yeah.
Which, for me, it made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, to even... That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a way to be alienated. Like, that's
So,
insane.
you know what, TJ? The men didn't sign off on that. The women, yeah, they agreed to be there. But Mauler's wrong, I guess, in that sense.
To give birth to them.
Well, no, the women agreed to it, but the setting off the rape bomb was not. That was a villainous move. So El Chupacabra was off doing his own mission, like in solitude. And where does it say he is? This isn't.
He's in Mexico.
Is it?
Or New Mexico?
Mexico. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's in this little town. In this little town, the children have been.
He's given up drinking.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's important. So he's sober. But yeah, people are disappearing.
Yeah.
First it started as pets, and then it started as people, and they put little bells on the kids so they wouldn't lose them. And El Chupacabra's like, okay, let me take a look at her remains, and it's like her ankle chewed off, and there's a little bell around it and stuff like that.
So who's doing this, Bill?
If we skip ahead, because we talked about a lot about what was going on with the Mauler, he traces Wolfman.
Yeah. What did you think at the end of that issue when you turn the page and he gets like El Chupacabra is at a pile of bones,
right? And
he looks up and there's Wolfman in the tree.
Yeah. Well, he's talking to Cecil, and El Chupacabra's like, it was easy to track, and Cecil's like, that's either really bad or really good. Either he's too dumb or he's too vicious to care.
Yeah.
And then it shows Wolfman right behind. I instantly thought that Wolfman was there tracking the same bad guy.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
It's still cool though. It's still a badass.
It is very cool.
I actually didn't think it was him. Obviously he was wearing the vest, but the way he's drawn fucking big. I thought he was obviously we know that he wasn't the Elder, but something like that, to where I don't like, maybe like, his vest has powers with that he is affected by the moon. So I was thinking maybe somebody else got that or something, because I didn't think it was him, because he was so fucking big.
It looks awesome though. I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
So before we get back to that scene, because that becomes a major story point, I love the barbershop scene.
Yeah, it was really good. And at first, I felt how Knockout felt, and she's like, "Why are you doing it? Like, it seems kind of stupid." Like, and then the way that Samson described it, like, take a look at that line, Knockout. Folks don't want to wait. Folks don't wait in lines like that for something unless it's important, free or not. What we do here, this place, it's important to the neighborhood. I don't know. It's just Samson is this powerful hero that's part of the guarding the globe, and
he's a millionaire. He doesn't need the money.
Yeah, and he's just doing haircuts, like for free.
Just giving back, and then getting to see Elephant trash the place, and Black Samson gives him a job. He's like, because they're like, oh, you wouldn't work a straight day, you know what I mean, or something like that. They tell him.
He says, I have to rob banks because with my record I couldn't even get a regular job. And then Samson's like, well, I'll hire you.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then even like Knockout was like, what are you doing? He's like, fighting crime.
Yeah, I love that.
Giving him a job. Yeah, it was really fucking cool.
And we later find out that both of them are brutally murdered by Robot.
Yeah. Yep. Elephant's head is just...
But this is a fun moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why he was there.
Yep, exactly. So now we go back to Wolfman and El Chupacabra. Wolfman's obviously tracking. He says he's tracking one of his own brood. Because he figured that he went feral.
Yeah.
like what happens sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, he thinks they both think it's each other at first. El Chupacabra thinks it's Wolfman. Wolfman thinks it's El Chupacabra, and they keep fighting back and forth. And then there's a howl, and they look up and they see another Wolfman.
Yep.
Another werewolf, I should say. And so what did you think? I wanted Bill, like TJ. I know you listened and read most of Brett. Did you make that connection to this alien creature?
No.
You didn't?
Oh my
I didn't.
gosh,
It's the same
so
spider.
cool.
It's the same fucking creature. I knew right
wolf
away.
The wolf even says there was an alien attack in New York.
Uh-huh.
Even though that was years before, I guess it's safe to assume it was another attack.
Yeah, but no. He said that there was a glob or something like that, and it jumped. He didn't even say it was a bug. He just said that it was something that.
He said there's an attack in New York City.
Right, but when he was explaining what it was that he saw, it was like something. Yeah, I was trying to find the time.
Either way, I don't think the time lines up for it to be the same attack, but it's a bug from that dimension regardless. It's not the same bug because Britt stepped on the one and killed it. But it's another bug from that dimension doing the exact same thing.
But the way that he was talking about the bodies and, ooh, you look stronger and stuff like that.
Even Russ Wooten with the red lettering. It's the same red lettering.
Yep.
Like trying to find, the whole goal is him trying to find a new, stronger body in order to inhabit.
And he jumps to Wolfman.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
He jumps from the werewolf.
He's like, this is a body that's worth taking over the world with. Mm-hmm. Much stronger.
At one point, I don't remember, where was it? It was right before that fight. I think it's... Anyways, at one point there's another... I think it's during the barbershop scene. But at one point they reference Baltimore again.
Yeah, but nothing.
Did you catch that?
Baltimore, but nothing happens like Invincible wise. There's nothing to lay claim that is where Invincible.
Well, that's where
lives.
Samson's barbershop is, right?
Yeah.
And so we assume that Samson lived near Invincible. I guess the mansion was nearby there.
If Invincible lived in Baltimore.
Yeah. Again, though, we think it is. We talked to Kirkman about that, and it was just cool that there's yet another Baltimore reference.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got the bug from Britt. And it goes. It climbs out of Wolfman, right?
It climbs. No, I think it. Yeah. It climbs out of Wolfman after he gets knocked out.
Because it goes for Outrun.
And then it goes for Outrun. She knocks it off. It goes onto Japandroid. Mm-hmm. And Monster Girl's like, aha, it's a robot. It's not an organic thing. But apparently this thing is so evolved that it's taken over so many species, including synthetics, that it prefers her body.
Yeah. So what does she do? First of all, she fights the Guardians, which is really cool. But I love the fact that she sacrifices herself. Again now, Chupacabra has to watch as another one of his teammates dies. Mm-hmm. Not because of him, but he was there prominently for both.
Well, this was his case.
Yeah,
it was supposed to just be a small little murder case or something, and it turned into be this world-altering... Mm-hmm. Like, if one little speck of this spider...
Yeah. So she... I love that she sets off a nuclear reaction in her core, and the moment that the alien creature realizes it and tries to crawl out of her mouth...
She crunches down.
She crunches down on it. God, it's so badass. I love that scene.
Yeah. It was really badass. Now that's it with her, right? Mm-hmm. She doesn't ever come back.
Nope, that's it.
You see Robot.
They essentially put her in like a coffin.
Right, to keep the radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that we get a little story from Donald.
Yeah, a little bit with his son.
With his son running track. And his...
Don't let the fat kid pass you.
the loudspeakers coming out from his neck. That was very cool.
Him saying, no, that's the way he's like, do not let the fat kid pass you. Oh my God. It was very, very funny. Mm-hmm. So this is the moment I think of when I think of Guarding the Globe. This was one of my favorite reveals, like one of my favorite moments, like because it's awesome Best Tiger and it's cool resolution. Everything with him and Outrun. And so, like we've already talked about, he deduces the fact that she shaves in another direction. And so Embrace has been the one that's been going around sleeping with all the members of the Guardians. So he fights and successfully incapacitates someone with super speed.
Yeah.
And he has no super speed.
No, he just knows where they're gonna be.
She's even saying like, "This is impossible. No one's faster than
Yeah.
me." And he's like, "I'm not faster. I just know my surrounding."
Yeah, I know where you're gonna be. I know what to do. Like, that's so cool. How'd you figure it out? No one could figure it out. Name's not Good Tiger. Best Tiger. Best line in the whole book.
Yeah, so he said armpit. When you run, wind whistles underarm. Past whisker, you shave up. Against grain, outrun, shave down. No whistle.
No whistle. So yeah, Embrace. Her ability was to possess people, which we saw like once. Oh, and then briefly again during a fight in Volume 1. So that was crazy.
Then she gets ripped apart.
Yeah, immediately goes to see Set, who is getting thrown through a building, and she's like, "Who could do that to Set?" And then somebody comes up from behind her and rips her in half.
And I'm
And
like,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a little out of nowhere.
which
But, like-
I didn't really care for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like little things like that. Like throughout. I mean, obviously this was a bigger moment. There were other moments too that we didn't really talk about, but there was a lot of kind of like jumpiness. And he's there for a while, and then like at the end when him and Set start fighting, you still don't really know why until like the final couple pages when you're like, oh, okay, so that's why that was happening. All right, I get that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll get to that.
And then you get somewhat closure. Like it's
I love
an
that.
epilogue
It's- It's Outrun talking,
confronting all of them.
confronting all
Fucking
the
pissed.
guys. Yeah.
Are they in the wrong?
It was crazy. I don't know. I like how Xandil was like, "Fuck this! I can't do it right. No matter what."
Yeah,
he just walks
he's
out.
like,
No,
yes,
he's like-
no means no, yes means no. Like, yeah.
and then Robbie, Shapesmith was like, she said no, but she kept saying yes.
She said it was good the whole time.
Yeah,
She kept
something
saying it was
like
good. Yeah, you can't blame them.
Yeah.
She even says herself, "You only knew me a couple weeks."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't know somebody that well to not know they're,
Yeah.
a kind of girl who would
and-
go from partner to partner.
You find out Kaboomerang was a virgin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he actually felt something for her beforehand and afterwards.
Yeah. So that was a nice little.
Something for Kaboomerang.
Well, yeah, because we didn't really have anything for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Thoth and Set. This is all kind of leading up to the climax of this issue. Is going to be all this coming up. Oh, one quick thing though before we get to that, I did like this moment with bringing back to the Brit Junior autism thing. Britt and Jessica have a moment where she's frustrated with Britt for not showing that it's bothering him at all, and he takes her to
The top of a building
To the
and
top-
shows her that all these people that are fighting, and he goes through each of the heroes and explains what their problem is and how they're not normal people, just like their son is not going to be normal because he has autism. But look at the amazing things that they're doing. The reason why I act like I'm not worried about my son is because he's not worried about his son.
Yeah, and
He can't see the things that he's not going to be able to do. He sees the things that he is going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Go above and beyond, and
I thought that was a really cool way to, bring that storyline back.
that was awesome. Yeah.
So,
So you find out Set and Thoth are brothers, and this is what they do. They fight over worlds.
how crazy was this moment in which Thoth absorbed the life force out of a sea of people?
They did an amazing job of showing it go through the wave of people, like him sucking the life force out and them being like just husks and skeleton people, and then the line of people that he's currently doing, and then
with
the
the
people
lights
behind
coming
him.
out of their eyes, and then
Fucking awesome. Like really good. You still don't really know, but I mean, this is when you find out like all these babies were born.
which there's not a whole lot of resolution there.
Yeah.
Not Invincible, but
Talking about the Mauler babies.
yeah,
Yeah.
but Xandil punches him through the legal paperwork, and then it's just kind of that's it. But yeah, so they get called away to this fight scene that's happening between Thoth and Set, and that brings us to the final issue, which starts off with a flash forward, of everybody destroyed at Set's feet.
Which I didn't like, because I went back and at no point does it say this.
Yeah, it is kind of
At the end.
Yeah,
It's just supposed to be
it's just teasing that a little bit.
right.
But anyways, they decide that they're no match for either of them, so they decide to just work on evacuating people and getting the people out of the city. And one of the craziest scenes of this was with Samar.
I was hoping that I wouldn't ever have to relive this part. Because it is so sad.
Because what did it remind you of?
Little Brit.
Yeah, Brit Jr. at the end of Brit's story, finding out that Brit Jr. had powers, and but this.
So what's happening is Brit is in a collapsed building with a woman named Samar, and all the other Guardians are fighting Thoth, and Kid Thor gets the life drained out of him and is presumed dead.
Oh yeah, so he kills Kid Thor. I like how Pegasus I think no, it was Outrun. Outrun's like, he was there a minute ago and now he's dead. He's just gone. Robot sends in a bunch of robot drones.
Yeah, but then it keeps going back to Brit having a conversation with Samar.
Yeah.
And
this woman in this building.
Him giving her the courage to like help, and she wants to help, and then oh my gosh. So he's saying, hang on, Samar, because the building is going.
It's crushing.
It's crushing. It's going ka-toom, ka-toom. It's getting lower, lower, lower. And he says, hang on, and he's face to face with her, and then
you turn the page, and Brit is pulled from the rubble by Set, and he's covered in blood. And
he says, "You're injured. I didn't think that was possible."
And he says, "It's not my blood,
you son of a bitch."
Like
crushed her, face down through somebody.
It's almost like Phil Hester read Brit Volume 3 and was like, "That's pretty fucking brutal."
I'm gonna
actually do it?
Yeah. What happens if someone actually got crushed? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So sad.
So Thoth has pretty much destroyed all of them. Set at this point asks Brit for help, and so how this fight ends is Set and Brit agree to work together for this moment, because Set explains that it's all just a game.
He's like, I'm trying to control the world, but he's trying to like feast off of all of your people.
And Set talks about how he's been playing everybody with Embrace and everything like that he just sees this as a game, and he's just moving the pieces. And
he even says, like, we can straighten out our shit after this is all done, but this is something that we have a common enemy here that we need to take care of.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that in Invincible, there isn't really a hero who has a power like that's very threatening to Invincible. Like, if Invincible were to face off with Set or even Thoth, like, he'd be fucked.
Invincible would be, or the villain would be?
Invincible would be. Think about it, all of Invincible's enemies. They're very strong, or Angstrom Levy can go into other dimensions.
There was a comment in the end of the final issue. Sean Makowitz made a joke about how there was no enemies or no characters with telekinesis. All these superheroes and all these abilities, but nobody has telekinesis.
Kaboomerang does.
Well, I guess he does have a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, no Professor X or Jean Grey type character. I don't remember what he said in the thing, but he mentioned that.
But I mean, think about it. Isn't that weird to think about? Like, these
Set could just stop him.
Yeah.
Just stop him.
Just stop him.
Thoth could just absorb him.
Yeah. And he's done.
Yeah.
Like, that would be more...
These are huge
These villains are more threatening than Thrag ever was, I think. Like, Thrag was just strong.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? But in Invincible's world, that's enough. You know?
Yeah.
But in this, you see this as a threat.
I feel like that's typical with like Justice League and Avengers.
The villains
and stuff.
match their
there's a reason why they need a team to defeat this villain.
Yeah.
Because they're more powerful than the ones that they go after alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the plan with Set and Brit was going to distract Thoth by letting him try and absorb him, which they knew that wouldn't work, or they hoped it wouldn't work.
He wanted to beat Thoth and have him think that his power was draining, and that he doubt himself. He wanted Thoth to doubt himself, because if he doubted himself, then he'd be able to defeat him.
Did Brit know this wasn't going to work, or was this a sacrifice that he would have?
No, Brit knew it wasn't going to work.
How?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would assume that he knew.
Yeah, so did I. But that was like Set knew that it was going to, that was part of the plan. But maybe, I don't know. So Britt does that to distract Thoth, and Set drops a train on his face,
And then they disappear.
and they're gone in the explosion, and that was it. And it's like they were never there. I didn't really care for that too much.
I didn't either.
I don't know. I don't remember if they come back in Invincible Universe. They might. So I'm withholding judgment on that. But it felt very abrupt. Like there's an explosion and they're gone. You know, that's it. So we'll see. But yeah.
And then it has. So Kid Thor is handed his hammer.
Yeah, Knockout, who wasn't there because Knockout and Xandal were at the Mauler site fighting him. So Knockout, who's in love with Kid Thor, they're in a relationship, wasn't there for him dying.
And runs in and it says, looks over his charred body, and says, "I couldn't stand to seeing anyone else swinging this ugly old thing around," talking about his hammer, and puts it down on his corpse and says, "Goodbye, kid. Good. And then as she sets the hammer down,
There's a flash
of blue light.
Yeah.
And she says, "Kid,"
Yep.
and you see nothing else. So we assume he comes back.
Yeah, and we've seen
Well, we
him
know
in
he comes
Invincible.
back, yeah.
Right, but I'm saying
But we don't know why or how or what the deal is.
we don't find out here that he officially comes back, but we know he does.
And so it ends with another quiet scene similar to, I think it was Brit Volume 3, but it's just Brit coming home, seeing himself on the news and, talking to Jessica and holding Brit Jr. And just the talk was all about how this is why he fights. He can't quit. He can't hang it up.
Because he wants everybody to have what he has.
Yeah, he wants, he fights so he can come home to his family, and he falls asleep there. So
That's how it ends.
I thought it was. I was mad that it ended like that.
yeah,
Like I think I wanted.
I actually like
more.
that ending.
I mean, I liked.
I love
it.
simplistic endings like that.
I liked it, but to me, I wanted more of that story. I think
because you didn't know that Invincible Universe picks up immediately, did you?
no,
Yeah.
and now I'm excited.
Yeah, I would feel a little like, oh, well, like 4 pages ago, the villains were unstoppable, and now they disappeared, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Britt's sleeping, and
Yeah.
that's it.
But it is a very good ending. I do like it a lot. But yeah, so that's Guarding the Globe.
So even after talking about it more, TJ, you feel the same way about it?
I do.
Not really caring about it too much?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
In comparison to all of the other side stories that I have read, I would say it's probably at the bottom. That's
Side stories is not... Wolfman's not a side story. Wolfman is its own comic.
Wolfman is a side story.
No, it's not.
It's not a side story of
It's a tie-in.
Invincible. It's a tie-in. Thank
No, it's
you.
not.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
it's
a tie-in.
its own comic. This is a tie-in because it's characters who were
I think this
introduced
is a
in
direct
Invincible.
tie-in. Wolfman is not a direct tie-in, but it does tie-in.
So Tech Jacket.
Tech Jacket, I guess, is like Wolfman, where it's not a direct tie-in, but it does tie into it. So,
Is
yeah.
Spider-Man a tie-in to
Oh,
Invincible?
okay. So is Batman
No, but-
Batman a tie-in to Superman?
I don't think that that's the same thing.
It absolutely is the same thing as
Just because
comparing
it happens in
Wolfman.
the same, it's just in the same thing.
Wo-
Wolfman, Superman would exist without Batman. Batman
sorry.
would exist without Wolfman.
It's a tie-in, but not a
Excuse me,
spin-off.
Wolfman. Wolfman would not exist without Invincible.
All right. So is this a spin-off or a tie-in?
I think you're arguing the same thing. It's
It's the same
it's
thing.
all. It doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
Either way, I like it a lot. Because the things I like about the most about Invincible are like I loved that we talked about the final issue 144 after the Viltrumite War when he's back to fighting like villains again, like on the streets. Like it's that universe building stuff, and I loved seeing those villains, seeing those characters. I'm really excited to read Invincible Universe now. So
You've read it?
I read it when it came out. I haven't read it since.
Do you have like
I
the
have
single issues?
both volumes right here. I have the single
Oh.
issues too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I taking them?
We'll see.
Okay.
So, up next is Invincible Universe. Our next episode, though, is not going to be Invincible Universe. We're going to be doing a What If episode next. So, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with Invincible What If. So, we want your what ifs. We'll be putting out the call on Facebook and Twitter and everything, too, that, Marvel has a long history. Well, they all comic books in general have a long history of doing what ifs. And I think it'd be really fun to do Invincible related ones. So, for example, what if Adam Eve had stayed dead? What if Conquest had killed her? Where would Mark be? What would that story be? How would it progress? And so on. I'm not going to give all the ones I'm thinking away now, but in 2 weeks, we'll be back with that episode. Each of us will come up with a few. We'll go around the table. I want everybody to write in, give us some of the ones that you think of, and we'll talk about them on the show. But after that episode, next month, we'll give everybody some time to catch up, read Guarding the Globe, read Invincible Universe. We'll give us three some time to read Invincible Universe, and we'll be back in 2 episodes with our Invincible Universe discussion. Do you guys want to talk about some other stuff first before we wrap it up?
I haven't really been playing anything. I saw today that they released a teaser for a new Tomb Raider video game.
There was the trailer for the 3rd video game.
The sequel?
I didn't watch the trailer yet, though, but I know that's been rumored for a while.
It shows nothing.
Yeah.
It just shows the title of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really it.
I still haven't played the second one, and I love the first one.
The second one is better?
Really?
Did you play it, TJ? No?
Did you play the first one, though, TJ?
I played some of it.
Yeah. I'm still working my way through the Kingdom Hearts collection. I got The Witness on iPhone because it was on sale, and that was rated one of the best games of whatever year it came out.
The Witness?
It's a puzzle game.
Oh.
It's like you're on an island. It's like the old game, Myst for computer. It's really tough, but that's been a lot of fun. TJ, have you been reading any other comics?
I have something for you.
What's that?
Hardcover 1 of Descender.
Nice.
You're gonna fucking read that shit.
Awesome.
Why can't I read it?
Because he requested it first.
Then I want Invincible Universe.
Invincible Universe? Maybe. Do you have it with you?
What?
Descender?
Descender? No, I don't have it. I'll give it to you next
Well,
time.
yeah, regardless, Bill, you're going to get Invincible Universe joined.
All right, so sorry to jump back into actual topic, but this is issue 112.
Of what?
Of Invincible.
What are you looking at?
And it shows Samson getting blown in half.
Oh, yeah.
Elephant getting his head cut off. It shows Kid Thor getting killed, Knockout handing him the hammer, him coming back, and then Knockout getting her head blasted off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeti getting his face blasted.
Pegasus, I think her
Pegasus
wing is messed up.
Pegasus grabs Yeti. So all of this stuff, you're like, who are these
and
people?
Yeti's
like
fucking a giant.
Like you've seen him a little bit,
yeah.
but not like this. Oh, this is the death of
Shapesmith.
And I think that's... Oh, Best Tiger's here.
This one starts with Britt Jr. and Britt.
Uh-huh. Yep. Best Tiger...
Oh, yeah. Best Tiger with Monster Girl.
Escapes by jumping off of Monster Girl. And that's it.
Such a good scene. Yeah.
Man, so like that whole issue,
matter.
that's a Guardian of the Galaxy like issue.
Guarding the Globe. Yeah.
Issue 112. Oh, yeah, I said Galaxy, didn't I?
We went this entire time and didn't say it once
and
until
then
there.
I fucked it up.
Way to go.
So issue 112, go back and look at all of the stuff from the spinoff that we just talked about because everyone's in there. All right.
I'm going to show you another one too after we end the podcast, the one with them in space. I want you to see that again. Did you guys like Black Panther? We didn't talk about it.
You go first.
I thought it was really good. I thought me and Katie are, rewatching all the Marvel movies, and I'm ranking them as I'm watching them again for, with fresh eyes, knowing the whole thing, because some of them I haven't seen since theaters. And it's at a solid, I think there's 18 Marvel movies. It's upper half. It's upper half. It's not top 4 or anything, but
okay.
I thought it was pretty good.
TJ?
You next.
For me, if I had to put it in a rank, it'd be the lower half, if not one of my least favorite
really? Wow.
Marvel movies. Because the CG was so horrendously
God, I knew you were going to
bad.
blame the CG.
Are you kidding me?
Towards the last half of the movie, yes, the CG got bad.
Okay.
That wasn't enough.
The whole
to
time
deter
it was
me.
bad. The whole time it was terrible. It took me right out of it.
It didn't bother me.
Black Panther was my absolute favorite part of Civil War. Every part of it.
Rewatching Civil War, he was
ass.
He was badass. I love the way he fought in Civil War more.
And that's what got me excited. They had this style, and I remember telling Liz, I'm like, Liz, if they keep his fighting style and the way that he moves and acts and stuff like that in Black Panther, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be my favorite movie. It was almost like the director was really good at drama. I liked Wakanda. I love the fucking all the women.
Shuri, she's the best, the princess.
All of them, dude.
Awesome.
Anytime that he was out of the Black Panther costume, I really enjoyed. But anytime that it was a superhero movie, it was bad.
I can see that.
It was bad.
The villain I thought was one of the best Marvel villains in any Marvel
I disagree.
movie. I love
Killmonger or whatever. I didn't
was awesome.
think all he did was I'm gonna burn it down. And that's,
I liked him.
That was.
I liked his backstory. TJ, what'd you think of it?
I still have not seen it. I'm obviously eventually going to see Black Panther.
You have to. Like, come on. It's like you're not going to be able to see it in theaters if it leaves theaters.
I have not
Infinity
seen
War.
the newest Thor, though, either.
I have it in the other room.
I hear it's bad.
Everybody loved it. Except for...
You
I saw it
guys.
with you, Bill.
And I feel like
we didn't think
we
it
have
was
the same standard of movies.
We didn't like it as much as everybody, but everybody else in the world loved
Well, here's the
it.
thing.
That was a Regal reunion that we did that.
I didn't like the regular Thors.
Yeah, that's why I think you're going to like it a lot.
Yeah? Well, I got to watch that, and I got to watch Black Panther before Avengers, so I will watch it eventually. And I am hearing awesome things about Black Lightning, too, so I want to check that out, too.
One of our friends, we watched, me and Liz, they had never seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Eric and Amanda, and we were like, oh, let's watch it. So we watched it, and then they didn't like the fact that Groot was, like, in it as much as he was.
Yeah.
As Baby Groot, and they're like, oh, it's just pandering. The whole, like, his character is, like, pandering. I'm like, I don't understand that word. Maybe I'm not smart enough. And they're like, well, it just caters to, like, what the audience wants.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I'm like, you know what? That's exactly how Thor felt the entire time. Not Thor as a character, but, like, every scene ended with a fucking joke because it's what the audience wanted. It's
but let me put it this way, though, and I felt the same way you felt when you left the theater. Is that better than the other Thor movies, though?
No.
Okay.
You're gonna feel the same way about it, dude. You're gonna fucking
most people hated the other Thor movies, so they're like, give us anything. Give us a stupid, goofy Thor. And a fun, action-packed, like, colorful, cinematography-filled Thor. And they did.
No, the second Thor, Dark World, had great
I only
cinematography
saw Thor Ragnarok once. I'm excited to rewatch it and see what I think.
It's kind of like, okay, so Shaun of the Dead. I'm looking at a post right now. It's a zombie movie, right? That's a comedy.
Yeah.
But it never really makes the heroes look... Well, that's not necessarily true, but the zombies look dumb, right? It's always about what the heroes do and stuff like that, so the zombies are like... This is a bad example.
It is a bad example, because it's not really supposed to be taken seriously. It's a comedy.
Right, but I mean, they take Thor, who is the hero, and make him a joke.
Right.
I think because, I mean, rewatching them, his best scenes in the other two movies were his comedic moments. So they did that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that literally every scene is a joke.
I agree.
Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Try to find me a serious tone that ends serious scene in Thor. I guarantee you can't find it.
I kind of want to skip this movie.
Yeah, you don't need to. You need to see it. You have to see it. It's really good.
You have to see it because it ends...
You just said it's really good?
No, it's really important, I should say.
That is important. Shit happens in it.
It's definitely worth seeing, though. It's not what I... What, Bill?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Okay, so I saw a movie that I was just... It was Sunday, and my whole family was napping, and I was wide awake, and I was just on Amazon Prime, and it's called What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard such good things about it.
It is a vampire movie with the guy who's shiny,
yeah.
He was Flight of the Conchords, and it has Takeshi, the director of Thor, and also the guy who played the rock monster in Thor. That movie's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about that movie.
It is so funny.
Did he write and direct that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
People
love him.
He co-directed
I need to see it
with the Flight of the Conchords guy.
Okay, cool.
And it's a
Jeremy something. Shit.
Yeah, it's a vampire. It's a documentary where a documentary crew follows around a group of 3 vampires and just like documents their life.
Cool.
And it's very funny.
Bring it back to comics a little bit. Saga, we talked about that. It's really good. Oblivion Song, if you guys want to hear more about what we thought about Oblivion Song, go listen to the Oblivion Song podcast. And then I caught up on Thanos, the one that Devin has been raving about. It's so good. It's so good.
It's a Thanos comic?
Yeah.
Like the title of it is...
Did you read Old Man Logan?
Very, like, sporadically. Like you showed me parts.
Oh, okay. It kind of reminds me of Old Man Logan, where it's like, here's like a kind of an alternate, like it's a very fun comic. Like you're gonna love it. I think you should read it. It's only a few issues in to this current run.
So this is new?
Yeah.
Is this the one where Frank Castle's Ghost Rider?
Spoilers. But yes, and that was a crazy moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was reading
really cool.
I was reading about that.
That's what I was getting at, where it has those moments where it's like, this is a cool reinterpretation of these characters.
Is it canon?
Maybe. It's canon, like Old Man Logan is canon, I think, where it's like somewhat.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's just a story told.
Yeah. So it's
with the
really
characters.
cool, and I think you guys should check that out. I don't know. Other than that, you guys got anything else, or we want to wrap it up?
I got nothing else.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Remember, we are a bi-weekly podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk all about Invincible What Ifs. Our Facebook is Invincible Podcast, Twitter, and YouTube. Leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us on SoundCloud, everywhere. Email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Bill and TJ, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, goodbye.
And thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Saying like, man, I do look old. He sees himself on TV.
No idea where that came from. I'm sorry.
All right.
I just straight up spit in your face.
Yeah, you did.
I did not mean to.
Edit.
I don't know where the fuck that
Holy
came from.
shit.
It was like a fucking out of nowhere cough.